What if some of the most powerful tools for supporting healthy blood sugar were already available at your grocery store, cost very little, and could be added to meals you are already eating? No special diets, no complicated protocols, no foods that are difficult to find or unpleasant to eat. Just 5 specific, ordinary foods that have earned the attention of metabolic health researchers for their ability to help the body manage glucose more steadily, more smoothly, and more consistently throughout the day. If you are over 50 and you have been looking for practical food-based ways to support your blood sugar, today's video was made with you in mind. This is True Well Prime, and today we are going to walk through 5 foods that research has highlighted for their role in supporting stable blood sugar levels. We will explain what each one does inside the body, how to include it in your daily routine, and how these foods work together as part of a broader approach to metabolic health after 50. Let us get started. Take Margaret, for example, a 62-year-old from suburban Florida managing pre-diabetes with metformin. She starts her day with coffee and eggs to avoid morning spikes, but still feels sleepy after lunch despite her salad. Adding these 5 foods, eggs for breakfast, greens in salads, avocado slices, berries as snacks, and nuts mid-afternoon, helped her energy stay steady all day with better glucometer readings. Small changes, big difference. Before we get into the 5 foods, I want to offer a little context. Because understanding why these particular foods matter makes it much easier to use them wisely and consistently. After 50, the body's blood sugar regulation system faces a set of compounding challenges. Insulin sensitivity tends to decline, meaning the cells do not respond to insulin as efficiently as they once did. The pancreas may not release insulin as quickly or as precisely following a meal. The liver becomes more active in releasing stored glucose, particularly overnight and in the early morning hours. And the hormones that govern all of these processes shift in ways that make stable blood sugar harder to maintain. The result is that the same meals that caused little disruption in younger years can produce larger glucose spikes, longer periods of elevated blood sugar, and more noticeable energy crashes after 50. And that pattern, repeated meal after meal, day after day, places a quiet but cumulative burden on the body's metabolic system. The 5 foods we are going to discuss today all work in different ways to interrupt that pattern. Some slow the absorption of glucose into the bloodstream. Some improve the efficiency of insulin at the cellular level. Some support the liver in managing its glucose output more moderately. And some provide nutrients that are essential to the metabolic pathways responsible for blood sugar regulation. Nutrients that many adults over 50 are simply not getting enough of through their current diet. These foods are not cures. They are not treatments. They are supportive tools. And when combined with balanced meals, regular gentle movement, good sleep, and appropriate nutritional support, they can make a meaningful and lasting difference in how steady your energy and glucose levels feel throughout the day. With that foundation in place, let us look at the first food. Food number 1 is eggs. Eggs have had a complicated reputation over the decades, but the research that has accumulated in recent years paints a clear and encouraging picture for adults focused on metabolic health. Eggs are one of the most blood sugar-friendly foods available, and they belong near the top of any list of supportive morning and midday choices. Here is why. Eggs are almost entirely protein and fat, with virtually no carbohydrates. When you eat eggs, your blood sugar does not spike. There is no glucose rush, no insulin surge in response to the meal itself. And the high-quality protein in eggs does something important beyond just avoiding a spike. It slows the digestion of everything else eaten alongside them. If you pair eggs with a small amount of whole grain toast or some fruit, the protein from the eggs acts as a buffer, blunting the glucose response from those carbohydrates and producing a much gentler rise than those foods would cause on their own. Eggs also provide meaningful amounts of several nutrients that support metabolic function, including B vitamins, choline, and vitamin D, a nutrient that research has increasingly linked to insulin sensitivity. Many adults over 50 are deficient in vitamin D, and eggs are one of the relatively few food sources that provide it naturally. The satiety that comes from a protein-rich breakfast built around eggs is also significant. Adults who begin the day with eggs consistently report feeling full and satisfied for longer, experiencing less mid-morning hunger, and making better food choices through the rest of the day compared to those who start with carbohydrate-heavy breakfasts. 2 or 3 eggs prepared in any way you enjoy them, scrambled, poached, soft-boiled, made into an omelet with vegetables, represent one of the simplest and most effective blood sugar-supporting choices you can make at the start of your day. Food number 2 is leafy green vegetables. Spinach, kale, Swiss chard, collard greens, arugula, and their relatives are among the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. And for adults over 50, focused on blood sugar support, they offer a combination of benefits that is difficult to match with any other single food category. Leafy greens are extremely low in digestible carbohydrates. They provide significant amounts of fiber, which slows glucose absorption and helps prevent sharp post-meal blood sugar spikes. And they are exceptionally rich in magnesium, one of the most important minerals for insulin sensitivity and glucose metabolism, and one of the most commonly deficient nutrients in adults over 50. Magnesium plays a role in over 300 enzymatic processes in the body. Many of those processes are directly involved in how the body produces and responds to insulin. Research has consistently found that adults with higher magnesium intake tend to have better insulin sensitivity and more stable blood sugar levels. And leafy greens are among the richest dietary sources of this critical mineral. Leafy greens also provide alpha-lipoic acid in small but meaningful amounts, an antioxidant that supports the mitochondria in using glucose efficiently for cellular energy. And they provide folate and other B vitamins that are essential cofactors in carbohydrate metabolism. Including leafy greens at lunch and dinner is one of the simplest ways to build a blood sugar supportive meal without significantly changing the rest of what you eat. Add a handful of spinach to eggs in the morning. Build lunch around a base of leafy greens. Include a side of sautéed kale or Swiss chard at dinner. The cumulative effect of this one change, repeated daily, is considerable. Food number 3 is legumes. Lentils, chickpeas, black beans, kidney beans, and other members of the legume family are among the most consistently underrated foods for blood sugar management. And for adults over 50 looking for practical, affordable ways to support metabolic health through diet, they deserve a much more prominent place on the plate. Here is what makes legumes so effective. They contain a unique combination of protein, soluble fiber, and complex carbohydrates that produces one of the slowest and most gradual glucose responses of any carbohydrate-containing food. The soluble fiber in legumes forms a gel-like substance in the digestive tract that physically slows the absorption of glucose into the bloodstream. The protein content adds another layer of buffering, and the complex carbohydrate structure means that digestion itself takes considerably longer than with refined grains or starchy foods. The result is that a meal containing legumes produces a blood sugar rise that is lower in height, slower in pace, and shorter in duration than an equivalent meal built around refined carbohydrates. For adults dealing with insulin resistance or reduced insulin sensitivity, this slower glucose delivery is genuinely valuable. It gives the pancreas more time to respond appropriately, reduces the magnitude of the insulin response required, and minimizes the subsequent drop that causes fatigue and hunger. Legumes are also rich in potassium, folate, iron, and B vitamins, all of which contribute to overall metabolic health. And they are remarkably versatile and affordable. A bowl of lentil soup, a serving of black beans alongside eggs or grilled chicken, hummus made from chickpeas paired with vegetable dippers as a mid-afternoon snack. These are practical, satisfying, blood sugar-friendly options that fit easily into any eating pattern. Food number 4 is fatty fish. Salmon, sardines, mackerel, trout, and herring may not be the first foods that come to mind when thinking about blood sugar support, but the evidence for their role in supporting metabolic health after 50 is substantial and growing. Fatty fish are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, particularly EPA and DHA, the long-chain forms that the body uses most directly. These fatty acids have been studied extensively for their anti-inflammatory effects. And inflammation, chronic low-grade inflammation that becomes increasingly common with age, is one of the underlying drivers of insulin resistance and declining metabolic function. When cells are inflamed, their ability to respond to insulin is impaired. The insulin receptor becomes less sensitive. Glucose cannot enter the cell as efficiently, and blood sugar remains elevated for longer after meals. Omega-3 fatty acids from fatty fish help reduce this inflammatory burden at the cellular level, supporting the restoration of insulin sensitivity over time. Fatty fish also provide high-quality protein, which, as we have discussed, slows digestion and blunts post-meal glucose spikes. They provide vitamin D, which is linked to insulin sensitivity. And they provide virtually no carbohydrates, meaning they add no glucose burden of their own to the meal. Aim to include fatty fish 2 to 3 times per week. A serving of baked or pan-seared salmon at dinner. Sardines on a bed of leafy greens at lunch. A small portion of smoked mackerel alongside eggs in the morning. These are simple, satisfying ways to bring one of nature's most effective anti-inflammatory and metabolic supportive foods into your regular routine. Food number 5 is nuts and seeds, particularly walnuts, almonds, chia seeds, and flax seeds. This category of foods offers something unique and particularly valuable for blood sugar management. They provide a combination of healthy fat, plant-based protein, and fiber that makes them one of the most effective blood sugar stabilizing snack options available. And for adults over 50 who are working to move away from the refined carbohydrate snacks that so many of us grew up reaching for, nuts and seeds offer a genuinely satisfying alternative. When eaten as a snack between meals, or added to a meal as a topping or ingredient, nuts and seeds slow gastric emptying, meaning food leaves the stomach and enters the small intestine more slowly. This gradual movement translates directly to a more gradual glucose release. Blood sugar rises less steeply. The insulin response is more measured, and the energy provided is sustained rather than quick burning. Walnuts in particular have been highlighted in research for their potential role in supporting insulin sensitivity, attributed in part to their unique combination of omega-3 fatty acids, polyphenols, and antioxidants. Almonds have been associated in multiple studies with reduced post-meal blood sugar responses when included as part of a meal. Chia seeds and flax seeds are extraordinarily rich in soluble fiber and omega-3 fatty acids, and both have been studied for their potential to support healthy blood sugar levels when consumed regularly. A small handful of walnuts or almonds as a mid-morning or mid-afternoon snack. A tablespoon of chia seeds stirred into plain yogurt or a smoothie. Ground flaxseed added to oatmeal or eggs. These are small additions that carry a meaningful metabolic benefit. Now, a word about the bigger picture. Because these 5 foods, powerful as they are, work best as part of a broader approach to blood sugar support after 50. Balanced meals that combine protein, fiber, healthy fat, and moderate amounts of complex carbohydrates create the foundation. Gentle movement after meals, particularly a short walk, activates the muscle pathways that clear glucose from the bloodstream independently of insulin. Consistent sleep and managed stress reduce cortisol and support overnight blood sugar regulation. And making sure the body has the key nutrients it needs at the cellular level helps the entire system function more efficiently. This is where nutritional support becomes relevant. Because even adults who eat well and include foods like the 5 we discussed today may still be falling short of the nutrient levels their metabolic system needs to function optimally after 50. Chromium supports insulin receptor function. Berberine has been studied extensively for its role in supporting healthy glucose metabolism. Magnesium, as we discussed, is essential to insulin sensitivity and is commonly deficient. Alpha-lipoic acid supports cellular energy production from glucose, and B vitamins are foundational to the metabolic pathways that process every meal you eat. Because obtaining meaningful amounts of all these nutrients through food alone becomes increasingly difficult after 50. Some adults find that a well-formulated daily supplement that brings these key nutrients together in one comprehensive approach fills the gaps that diet alone cannot reliably cover. If you would like to explore what that kind of nutritional support looks like, and what others in a similar situation have found helpful, there is a resource in the description below where you can learn more at your own pace. Before we close, a brief but important reminder. This video is for educational purposes only. It is not medical advice and is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any health condition. Dietary changes can interact with medications and existing health conditions. Please speak with your healthcare provider before making significant changes to your diet, particularly if you are currently managing blood sugar concerns or taking related medications. Let me leave you with a simple and encouraging thought. You do not have to overhaul your entire way of eating overnight. You do not need to follow a perfect plan from day one. What matters is beginning to shift the balance, gradually, sustainably, and in a direction your body can feel. Start with one of these 5 foods. Add eggs to your breakfast this week. Include a handful of leafy greens at lunch. Swap an afternoon snack for a small portion of nuts. These are not dramatic changes, but they are real ones, and real changes made consistently produce real results. Your body is still capable of responding to better inputs. At 50, at 60, at 70, and beyond. Give it the right foods, the right movement, the right rest, and the right nutritional support, and it will show you what it can do. Thank you for spending this time with TrueWell Prime. Take good care of yourself today.